Welcome to Applying to the University of Texas. I'm Dale Price. I'm the founder and owner of Access College America. We're based here in Austin, but we get to work with scholars all over the country. We are a leading college planning agency, and we have a STEM specialty about our organization. We really specialize in applications to majors such as business, engineering, computer science, those that are applying to pre-med professional programs. So if you got your heart on majors like bio or chemistry, these are areas that we really excel in. But we work with folks of all interests and all backgrounds. So even if you don't really know what you want to study and you want to investigate that and learn about that, we can definitely assist you. I am joined today with the Ninja. I'm going to actually allow her to introduce herself. She is a wealth of information. I actually lean on her all the time and ask her questions because she's really plugged in, especially to this application. Jen, would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I am a proud Texas ex. So I graduated the year 2010, kind of think back there, 2010. Um, so did go to UT all 4 years. So there's that point. I came to Austin and never moved. But my name is Jen. I'm a consultant here with ACA. And just like Dale said, I have worked in the education sector for over 13, going on 14 years now, and specifically with school counseling, college applications, all the way from the middle school, all the way up through graduating and onward. For a while now. So definitely have had many years of pre-COVID era and post-COVID era admissions experiences. And so it's definitely been exciting stuff.
Awesome. Great. Well, we have a lot of really great updates for everybody. Before we really dive into everything, I want to go over what the agenda is going to be for today. I want to go over some of the more recent trends as it relates to college admissions, and I'll go over the Texas updates as well. But before I go into everything, what in the world is happening as it relates to college admissions? Where are we seeing with the numbers and everything of that nature? There's really been a real game changer in the last few years, but we're seeing a national movement with numbers going up. What I mean by that is this past year, the University of Texas received an overwhelming number of applications, just right around 66,000 applications for about 19,000 offers. To put that into perspective, these numbers have actually doubled in the last 10 years. Around 2014, they really received right around 34,000 applications. So for the same number of seats, might I add. So what we're seeing is more and more people applying to the University of Texas. And it is becoming hyper competitive. I like to say it is now the Hunger Games to get into the University of Texas. There's around 9,500 seats, by the way. So they're expecting out of the 19,000 offers they provided, around 9,500 of those offers will actually enroll into the program. But now follow me on the math here. Out of the 9,500 students that actually, or out of the 19,000 students that were admitted, 75% of them had to be within the top 6% of their high school class. So what that meant was anyone outside of the top 6% had around a 12% acceptance rate. So I know a lot of you folks, you may be following the math here and you may be saying, well, now wait a minute. When we go online and we Google acceptance rate, it says UT has around a 28% acceptance rate. How do we go from 28% to 12%? Well, that number is misleading, the 28% acceptance rate, because you have to remember, again, 75% of those admitted into the 19,000 offers, the 19,000 offers provided, had a 100% chance at being admitted into the University of Texas. So that number is really going to be inflated. No one has really that great of a chance to get into their first choice major. And when you think about this, other colleges that have around a 12% acceptance rate are schools like Johns Hopkins, Rice, and Georgetown. So the numbers are going up. They're only climbing. There was a 10% increase in the application totals over the previous year, 20% increase over the past 3 years. And so, as I mentioned before, it is only becoming much more competitive within the world of admissions. And I think that this is for a variety of reasons. First of all, more students are applying to more colleges than ever before, but students are actually attaching a value to themselves by applying to the University of Texas and really putting value as to whether or not they get admitted on themselves. But also, I think that now that things have gone test optionally, more students are applying to UT because they don't have to submit those test scores. So the barrier to apply has lowered. And then I think that the other reason why more folks are applying to UT is because UT is now on the Common Application. So it's easier to apply to UT. You can apply to UT and 19 other colleges with a very simple click of the button. So we have this real perfect storm, which makes it all the more reason that our pro tip is to pick the right major for yourself. Make sure you do not crowdsource your way through this process. It's so important that you understand that you pick the right major for yourself, that you write really great applications in those essays, and you really make sure that you create a balanced college list to really save the day. Now, I'm going to go over fit to major here, but I actually want to pull in Jenn to talk about this because the biggest decision you have to make is the major. What are you going to apply to? Jenn, can you talk to them? For a lot of folks here, they may have never heard of this term, fit to major and intellectual curiosity. That's a term coined from UT. What does this mean basically?
Yeah. So fit to major, specifically for UT Austin, means that how do we know that you're choosing the right major, right? So what in your experience, in your extracurricular activities, your academic activities, what is evidence that you are choosing the right major in the first place, right? So, they are looking for very strong fit to majors for a number of reasons, number of business reasons, a number of just fidelity reasons within the university. But for someone, if you're an underclassman right now, or even a junior, right, and you still have some time left in your high school experience, if you're trying to figure out, am I a good fit to my major? We want to look at the experience that you have on a resume. If you don't have a resume, I definitely would recommend that you start a resume. But you want to have experience that points to that you know what you're talking about. That your future major is something that you are going to start and you're going to finish. And that is for our auto admins, like Dale was mentioning before, our auto admins, and that's top 6% of your ranking high school students and your non-auto admins. So at UT Austin, everyone goes through the same admissions process. If you are an auto admin, you are guaranteed admissions to UT Austin, but you are not guaranteed admission to your major of choice. You do still have to go through the process like everyone else, of them comparing if you are a good fit to your major. And one of the reasons that they do this, honestly, is, a lot of students do want to go to UT Austin, like Dale said. I mean, it is flagship university in the States. I personally work at a large high school in the daytime, and it is on everyone's list, right? And so, but also in that same breath, they're trying to figure out their way to get in. So if you're thinking that, hey, I just want to know just the major that is just the easiest to get into, and then I'll transfer, that that is what they're trying to avoid in the admissions process. They're trying to figure out, we want to make sure that we admit people that are going to start and finish. So how do you do that? And that is through activity list building. And so especially if you're an underclassman right now, it's really important that you begin your activity list and you begin experiences on your resume.
This is a good question. Hold on before you go. Laxmi, who is a parent of a junior, actually asked a really good question. What are some successful extracurricular activities? So I
Yeah.
don't know what the major is, and I don't know how specific you want to get, but when we talk about activity building, because for those that are watching this, it's important you understand one thing. Your application for the University of Texas, it really starts day one of your freshman year of high school. Everything is fair game with UT day one, your freshman year. Clubs, organizations, the classes, the rigor, how you spend your summers, all of this can be used. But when we talk about activity building, what exactly does this mean? Is it a little bit of everything, Jenn, or how do you really plan with these activities?
Yeah, and that was a great question to ask. Because and even as a junior, it's not too late to ask that question, because best advice for activity building or successful activities are really going to be activities that you have a lot of depth in, or activities that make a large impact on a person, on a community, on a group of people. So a lot of times whenever we're trying to figure out activities for your specific major that also make an impact, right? It could be something simple, right? Something simple with your clubs and activities at school, right? You join a DECA, or you join a robotics club, or you start a robotics club. But we want to make sure that the impact that you're making and the time that you're spending in those activities, that is what is going to hold more weight on the application process, than you trying to spread yourself really, really thin across 15 different activities.
Yeah, it's like I said in the chat box, the currency in college admissions is time. How much time have you spent in this? You don't have to do a lot of everything here. But UT is really big on leadership too, and they love seeing how you're demonstrating leadership and rising to the occasion to be change makers inside your community, inside your family, and things of that. So the starting point for all of this, folks, is what are you going to major in? It's not a great school to apply to if you don't know what you want to do. It's really important that you can back up with evidence your intellectual curiosities and you weave these themes of validation throughout the types of classes you've taken and the orgs and the contributions you've made. So your starting point for all of this will be the major, and that really sets the tone for everything else. Now, beside that major, as I mentioned before when we were talking about the stats are a table stake to get into the University of Texas. 75% of those seats are going to the top 6% of the incoming class. But let me be very clear about this. You will list two choices when you apply to the University of Texas, a first choice and a second choice. Only those in the top 6%, not 6.01, not 6.15, not 7.01, 6%. And the university is not going to round here, will be considered for the second choice major. But the University of Texas does not have to give anybody their first choice or their second choice major. 100% of all applicants will undergo the exact same holistic review process. Now, it is possible that you are not in the top 6% of your high school class and you get admitted into one of those STEM majors like biomedical engineering or computer science. Fun fact, most of the families we work with, our scholars, are not in the top 6% of their high school class. The University of Texas will definitely go outside of even those in the top 10% of their high school class and make room for you. So here is the hope, folks. What you need to realize is that your activities matter. Creating experiences of that evidence that fit to major, that you're doing this throughout your activity, that you're doing this throughout your high school career is so important. So let's talk about activities for a second here. For many of you, you'll be able to apply to the University of Texas and list that major. Maybe you're not auto admit at your high school, and you'll be getting admitted into that major because of the events and activities you've aligned yourself with. So, a lot of folks we work with are applying to computer science. But now, let's talk about this. Here's what I mean by this. Well, first of all, there's 5 different types of fields for computer science. And so you can go into AI, or you can go into cybersecurity, or you can go into firmware or software engineering. There's a lot of different types here. How do I back up with evidence my sincere intellectual curiosity? Well, aside from picking rigorous subjects in math and science, right? And doing well in those classes, absolutely. But let's say, for example, you're interested in getting into AI. Well, maybe in your spare time, you want to tinker around and learn a little bit about machine learning, and you want to learn algorithms and frameworks like TensorFlow or PyTorch. Or perhaps you're interested in getting into cybersecurity and you're developing simple encryption algorithms, or you're creating experiments on systems to test their vulnerabilities. This is what I mean by activity building. You are creating experiences that you can actually list on your expanded resume to really add a case that you're sincere with this. So it is possible that you are top 6% of your high school class. So for those of you that are assuming that you've got this in the bag and UT is a safety school for you, this message is for you. It's not, because it is possible that you can be number 1 in your class and have a perfect test score and still not get admitted into computer science. As I said, and I'm just picking on computer science for a reason, everyone is going to go through the exact same review process. And UT really does lean heavy on leadership and activity building. So important that you realize this application is starting day 1 of your high school. So pick the right major for you. As Jenn was just mentioning a moment ago, there is not a backdoor to this. So you should not consider picking an easy major, which there is not going to be an easy major, because everybody's second choice major is somebody's first choice major. You hear me on that? And so while it is possible and easier to transfer inside a college, so for example, to be an internal transfer inside the College of Liberal Arts, it will be much harder to transfer, say, as a psychology major to the Macomb School of Business. You're basically waiting for somebody to either drop out or leave. And the retention rate at the University of Texas is in the 90s. So good luck with that approach. Pick wisely with that major. Another question and these are really awesome, but when we talk about, Jenn, I'm going to ask this one. This is from Rifa, and I'm so sorry I'm saying your name wrong, but this is from Rifa, who is the parent of a sophomore. And it sounds like their student is interested in getting into computer science, informatics, or data science. I love the range here, because these are 3 majors, Rifa, that a lot of folks are kind of deciding when, in this particular field. But what are some tips, Jenn, that you have? Because they're wanting to know, what is your advice for computer science, informatics, or data science? How would you address this?
Well, I think I first would put my counselor hat, my school counselor hat on, and I would say, are you taking advantage of every single related class at that your high school offers? If they offer computer science in an AP route, if you go to an IB school and there's also IB computer science, excuse me, or statistics, or, all of the math classes, are we first taking advantage of that? So that would be number one. And, in the college admissions process, I did mention IB just then. They're going to compare, what is on your transcript based on what is offered at your school. So number one, are you taking advantage of every class that you could at your disposal? Obviously, sometimes there's barriers to that. So outside of that, really thinking about of your activity list building, like we just said. So what outside or just extracurricular, maybe inside of school or totally outside of school activities are you participating in? Instead of getting a part-time job as a lifeguard in the summer, maybe you can go get a part-time job at that coding, at the coding place down the street, right? Or maybe you hold your own coding camp, right? Or computer science camp within your neighborhood. And you demonstrate that kind of intellectual curiosity, and you're impacting the community. So, it's a positive on two realms there. But I definitely, if you were going into any STEM major, first and foremost, focusing on those grades, that is a must. Focusing on the rigor, focusing on the grades, focusing on your AP scores and your SAT or ACT scores. That's step one. And then step two is going to be everything outside and just building up, like we just said, just building up that activity list.
Yeah, and Jen, like I said before a moment ago, I was just talking a little bit about this because Rifa needs to understand there's so many different areas of computer science. That's a vague field to go into. It's a little bit like saying you want to go into business, but inside business, you have accounting, marketing, finance, supply chain management. You've got to be able to demonstrate, you've got to get much more on a granular level here where you are looking at, well, here's the type of computer science I want to get into. Is that something that you would kind of suggest? These are different fields of study,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you can do that too. You can do that through coursework in your high school. There are different routes of computer science classes at your high school that get real specific. There's classes that you could take, most likely, that are offered that is about mobile apps, right? That have a computer science background. There's different classes about different languages, and then there's more theory classes that you can take. So, definitely trying to hone in on one specific area. And, that may be hard for a teenager, but what I tell students all the time is that, whenever you try something in one direction, if you figure out that's not the route you want to take, that's also a really important part of that process too, right? So that this person, I forget if they were a junior or a sophomore, but if we go in one direction with computer science, and I'm going to be honest, I don't know all the words that Dale was saying there, so I don't know what a lot of those things mean, but if you go in that direction and you figure out, hey, this is not what I like, that is great too. So that you need to shift right.
Definitely. So just sticking a little bit with this theme of activity building and really getting to a much more specific area of study here, because this is an area of opportunity. For example, let's say that you're interested in being a doctor and you want to apply to a pre-med, pre-professional program. Well, first of all, there's more than one major out there. Everyone doesn't have to go into biology or chemistry. You can look at public health or kinesiology or nutrition or any of these majors. But how are you demonstrating that you're sincere with getting into this pre-med professional program? Well, go spend time at a local hospital or clinic. Go sterilize medical equipment. Go clean restrooms and bathrooms and all of that. That matters. Are you fluent in Spanish? Well, go be, a medical translator. Shadow physicians and doing research. That sometimes is a little bit hard, but hey, almost every high school has student council. And what are healthcare professionals? They're leaders in their community. You should be participating in StuCo. It's not just for someone that wants to go into political science or government. So really think about the opportunities that you're around. Think about your skill sets and how can you really help take hone in on that? So these are really, really good questions. We'll be answering more. One of the starting points of all of this, and poor Jen, I'm going to pull her back on here to talk about this, but it's the expanded resume, and this is the starting point for us that we get started on whenever we're looking at this application. The expanded resume is really unique to the University of Texas. What the heck is this thing? How long does it need to be? Is there a right way or wrong way of organizing this? So I'll let you open up that can of worms.
Yeah. So it was a good segue because the expanded resume, it is very unique to UT Austin. Definitely don't recommend sending it to anywhere else. They will look at you cross-eyed. But the expanded resume, it is technically it is an optional part of the traditional standard admissions application process. But we definitely strongly recommend that every single one of our scholars completes an expanded resume. If you do, just as a side note, if you do plan to apply to some of the honors programs, it is oftentimes required for those honors applications. However, the expanded resume, it's more, I would love to change the name to really a catalog. So the expanded resume, it's more like a catalog of all of the experiences that you have done, whether they're academic or non-academic, inside, outside the classroom, that are going to point to your fit to major. So it is a catalog of evidence of everything that you've done from the summer leading into freshman year, all the way to that moment when you're applying. And you, like a resume, it is supposed to, have descriptions, right? Descriptions of those activities. We guide our scholars to really emphasize the impact, and to emphasize, just like Dale was saying a second ago, if we are in an activity that we don't feel like maybe is directly related to our major, there are those soft skills that we are learning that are going to be that are going to tie to your future career. And so we really kind of help with those descriptions of the expanded resume. But unlike a traditional resume, clean cut, maybe 1 or 2 pages, right? Because you're trying to get a job. An expanded resume is a catalog, so it can be multiple pages long. We recommend 3 to 5 pages or so of cataloging your experiences, like I said, but there is a strategy too behind actually ordering your expanded resume, and what should I do it chronologically like a normal resume, or not? And so what we advise is that we don't do it chronologically like a normal resume, because those admissions counselors and admissions officers, they are people, right? And so you want to put the most impactful and the things directly related to your major first. So we have a great template actually on our website, accesscollegeamerica.org. And the template is gives great descriptions of that expanded resume and a great example of the structure, to emphasize that the amount of time, the impact that you had on that activity, in the best format for you and your application going forward. But it is evidence, right? It is your whole evidence of, I know I'm picking the right major because of all of this experience that I have.
Absolutely. Great. We had a good question come through in the chat box also. How can I find a recording of this for future? I'll show you. And actually, I'm going to take you folks on a detour as well. On our website, as I mentioned, we actually have a free downloadable expanded resume template that you can download. So a copy of this presentation will be posted on our YouTube channel. But if you go to our downloadable guides right here, look right here. We've got it for you, an expanded resume. And this will go into our step-by-step process for how to organize your very own expanded resume, where to put your UT Fun fact, especially if you're taking any on-ramps courses, you want to make sure that you have the same EID on your expanded resume as you do for those on-ramp courses. Everything has to be the same. So, but as Jenn was saying, the way that you organize it is important. You want to list it with items that are the most meaningful, directly related to your major, and work down. And also you want to quantify everything. You want to list how many hours and what years and how many weeks did you do this particular activity. And you want to make sure that you use lots of action verbs. Plus, you want to discuss how this relates to your first choice major. So keep that in the back of your mind. When you are listing an event, how does this relate to my first choice major? What were the skills that you developed as it relates to business or as it relates to mechanical engineering? So all of these things definitely matter. Now, our expanded resume, as I mentioned, is on the resources page. And then while I'm on this resources page, if you go to our blog, we really walk you through this very important process. If you just do a search for the expanded resume, we actually really go into how to organize this too. So there's a really great blog that we have here as well, and definitely check that out. Now, as Jenn mentioned, 3 to 5 pages, but you can have a really good expanded resume at 1 or maybe even 2. How exactly does that work? Well, the currency in college admissions is time. It's the depth of that event or depth of that activity. And it's all about how you write your descriptions too. So action verbs, impact, leadership, how you are a change maker, your contributions overall, very, very important. Only to the University of Texas are you going to send this. And so keep that in mind. But there is no standard template that the university actually will release to the public. But this is a really good, definitely a really good template to use. I'm going to go ahead and launch our first poll. And the first poll is, where do you really need help? What areas of this process do you need help with? Is it test prep? Is it picking a major? Is it activity building? Maybe it's essay preparation. So definitely go ahead and answer this next poll. And I'm going to ask this question. Actually, I'll answer this. Ida is asking, who's the parent of a junior, what is the engineering acceptance rate? So the tricky thing is, like many colleges, the University of Texas has not released specific data on their acceptance rates. I can only think of one school that is actually truly transparent, and that's UMass Amherst. They do a great job at really disclosing who's getting in, how many applications, into what majors. The University of Texas will not disclose that type of data. Now, we track it internally, and obviously we're connected with lots of other great organizations, so we're able to look at our stats, and we can tell you that the acceptance rate into engineering specifically will be a lot less than 28% overall acceptance rate. And I would say even inside of the School of Engineering, some of those majors are going to be way more competitive than others. For example, biomedical engineering, which is inside the Cockrell School of Engineering, is by far one of the most competitive majors to get into at the University of Texas out of all of the other majors. So you have also within some of these colleges a breakdown of the most competitive versus least competitive majors to get into, at some of these as well. A lot of this takes place with conversations with admissions officers too, but it is very hard. And so keep in mind, one thing you may want to do to make sure that you're picking out the right major for you, the University of Texas has a really great inventory that you can take online just to make sure that you're really finding the right major. Wayfinder is a good tool you can use, but they have what's called a My Majors quiz, in which you can complete this inventory and it will actually, for free, and will auto populate a variety of majors that you may want to consider. For example, like I said, if you're interested in getting into, medicine, well, maybe you didn't think about public health or kinesiology or data science as other opportunities, but these may be fields or majors that are in line with your natural curiosity. So definitely take a look at that. um, Jenn, we've got a parent here who is April, actually, who's the parent of another junior. Lots of juniors that are here today. And if and she's concerned, the parent of a daughter not in the top 6% of the high school class, and she's wanting to know really just how competitive is it going to be. We've talked a little bit about this, but I think that really kind of varies based off the major you're applying to, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, competitive of the different majors and the different schools. But, I wouldn't, and I think Dale said this in the very beginning too, I would not shy away from somebody, planning right now. And as a junior, it's a great time to start the process right now of planning and test prep right now, and thinking about the essays here in the spring semester, because a lot of weight is going to be, like we said, on that activity list, on a strong SAT score, and the writing, and the writing we haven't really broached yet, but there are several short answer response questions for UT Austin, and your main essay for UT that definitely hold a lot of weight. So I definitely would not shy away from somebody attempting, right, to get in, but making sure that they put their best foot forward in their preparation for sure.
Looks like we have a lot of folks where building a college list is an area of concern, and definitely essay preparation too. So I think this is a perfect time to kind of dive right into the essays. Jenn, can you just talk about, from a counselor point of view, there's really, you have three pieces of writing for UT. You have the main essay, you'll have short answer questions, you'll have an expanded resume. Actually, four, you have the activity list, four pieces of writing, but we don't have time to go over all of them today. Can you just talk about those short answer questions and what is the difference between the short answer questions at UT and the main essay?
Yeah. So, like Dale said, there's going to be different pieces of writing, specifically the main essay versus the short answer questions. So, your main essay, and if you're using the platform Common App that Dale mentioned before, the main essay is going to be an essay that is something, and sometimes it's a narrative, but it's going to be some type of unique story about yourself. Okay. So this is not going to mention any college. We really encourage you to stray away from mentioning even a major. But really you're telling, and like I said, sometimes it's in a narrative format, but sometimes it's not, but you are telling something very specific. And maybe it's an ideal that you have, or maybe it is, something that you've learned or an obstacle that you've gone through, but it's really something you as a person, and separate from, I want to be a teacher or I want to be a doctor, but something you as a person. And that in contrast with your short answer questions. So your short answer questions at any university, and specifically at UT Austin, are going to be directly asked from that university. So the prompts are going to be different for every university. Now we do see some real common themes throughout a lot of the short answer, prompts. But the difference is that in that main essay, there's a section in the Common App where you will write your main essay, or your personal statement, as sometimes it's called. So every university that you apply to in that Common App application platform is going to see that main essay. So again, it's just about you. In contrast, the short answer questions are in a completely different section in the Common App. And the university that you are applying to, if they are asking you a short answer question, you are responding, you are writing your prompt, and only that university is going to see your response. So they're, typically very common short answer questions are going to be, why are you choosing this major? Why do you want to come to this university? There's oftentimes answer prompts that are related somehow to community involvement, or your impact in your community, or the impact on the world. UT has some pretty unique and sometimes tough short answer prompts to answer, especially as a 16, 17-year-old, whenever you are going through that process. But it is your spot to really highlight specificity to why you want to go to the University of Texas. So one of the prompts is, why are you choosing your first choice major? And what they're really saying is, why are you choosing your first choice major, and why at UT? So you want to obviously layer in your experience in that, but also you want to tie it specifically to UT Austin. So they are looking for specificity to their particular university throughout prompts, throughout any short answer prompt, and that's for any school. So a good kind of rule of thumb that I always tell scholars is, if you can copy and paste that response to a similar prompt at another school and not really change a whole lot, then that response is not specific enough. So they're looking for specificity in terms of professors that you have researched, and that you want to take a specific class, or you want to get a specific internship, or you want to some of the questions that are more about community, or more about involvement, leadership involvement, actually naming specific student groups that you want to mirror. Maybe you have an experience in high school, and now you're going to mirror that same experience at this campus through this specific way. And so they're truly looking for you to know that you want to go there, not just because UT is flagship school in the state of Texas, but they're looking for more specific reasons. And so right now is a good time. If you are a junior right now and you have not done enough research, you have not made a visit to the campus, you have not connected with your admissions counselor that comes to your high school. I know that a lot of the high schools in the area, they have those regional admissions counselors that come, and they'll sit at a table at lunch, or you can sign up for a session with them at some point throughout the day. If you haven't connected with that person and asked questions, and really dived deep into why is it that I want to go to this university, especially if you're a junior, now is the time. The time is now to do that, to go on tours, to not just visit the UT campus, but go to the actual college that you are wanting to apply to. And so when the time comes, and we do a lot of our writing prep starting in March, April time for our scholars. So around that time, that's when we kind of set up in our timeline for our students to have that experience, so that they can have really good answers to those short answer prompts. But there's some tough ones. There's even one about changing the world that sometimes is a little bit tough for a teenager. But we definitely, we help all of our students, from start to finish through that process.
Definitely great. Yeah, and there's a couple of things I want you to pick up what Jenn was putting down. See what I did there? First of all, one of the strategies that we like to apply is called layering your essays. And what I mean by that is, a lot of high school teens are going to think of one or two cool things they did in high school, and they're going to really drill it into everywhere on their application. They'll reference it in their main essay. They'll talk about it in the short answer question. You'll see it pop up on the expanded resume activity list, and you might even have a recommender talk about it. The problem with that approach is the reviewer is going to get bored seeing the exact same thing and move on. Layering is where you will, again, map out everything cool that you did in high school. Remember, my pro tip, the first way to start this application is through your expanded resume. You want to think of all the cool things that you've done. And then you want to look at the prompts and think about what you can reference. It's a puzzle. What fits where? You want to reference your experience in this application and weave new themes and dimensions about you, as so that the reviewer is going to learn insight about you as it relates to your first choice major. And then you also want to talk about specifics at the University of Texas that are a direct fit for what you want to go into. So if you're thinking about going into biomedical engineering, what is the research? What is the lab that they have within their facilities that you can't get anywhere else? And how is that going to complement the research that you have or the internship experience that you had as a rising senior? So think about these things and how you can really provide that insight that University of Texas has access to labs, facilities, traditions you can't get anywhere else. They know the person admitted into this major is very likely getting competitive majors at other places. So you have to start with research. Jenn also mentioned a really important part. We start essay prep juniors in March or April. And that is because the writing is the hardest part of the entire experience. It takes the longest. You need plenty and plenty of time to write, come back, discuss, outline, change things up. So it's so important that you actually start early. Those applications open up on August the 1st, and you want to make sure that you have a time to really apply the finishing touches to all of the writing. It's hard to start writing things out on your applications once you're a senior. A few questions have come in. What is the acceptance rate for business marketing majors? Well, when you apply to the Macomb School of Business, you actually apply undeclared. So everyone will apply undeclared to the Macomb School of Business. You won't apply to marketing, but I would be here to guess that the acceptance rate for business for everybody is in the single digits for the Macomb School of Business. Again, I am providing my guesstimate, but I'm pretty sure that I am right spot on. What was the website that we mentioned for the major and the Wayfinder? Well, you can go online and you can literally Google My Majors Quiz, University of Texas. Free inventory that will populate possible majors within the University of Texas you may want to consider. And then there's also the Wayfinder as well to give you other options, other majors that you may be a better fit for. And then this may be a little off topic, but would UT Austin accept applications for spring semester 2024? So this is a good question. Maybe your strategy is to apply to a less competitive cohort. And that is a strategy that a lot of folks will consider maybe applying in the spring instead of applying to the fall because there's more applications in the fall. This is a good idea. However, not every major is offered in the spring. So you want to look at what is the major you're applying to and are they actually accepting applications in the spring before you apply that strategy. I want to go ahead and launch the last question before we actually wrap it up. So if you do have any other questions, make sure that you do plug them in. And maybe we actually may be the very first group or a very first time that you've actually heard a college consulting agency speak. Well, we want you to stay connected with us. Definitely follow us on social media. We do lots of Facebook Lives. We do scholarship spotlights. You can follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram. Also, you can go at our YouTube page, which, by the way, this is where the recording is going to be plugged in. So go look at our YouTube page because we will definitely be plugging that in. If you are curious about being on our winning team, then you can schedule a discovery call online under the Contact Us button right here. You can go to our website and you can schedule a 30-minute discovery call with me. And that's when we'll go over our pricing and our packages. But we are a locally based organization and we do work with incoming freshmen. As I mentioned, we have a STEM specialty and we include SAT, ACT test prep. We also have a very limited intake as well. It is 25-1 for our team. So when is the right time to get started with college planning? This is a very common question we get asked. And I think you'll get a different answer depending on who you ask this question to. Most college consultants start working with folks the junior year. The junior year is the year of formal college planning, by the way. But for our scholars and the types of majors they're applying to, we prefer a very slow and go process. There's a reason why we start working on essay prep in March, April of the junior year, because nobody likes a bottleneck experience. We have to make overnight decisions and you have to be a square trying to fit into a round hole. What I mean by that is you need time to investigate yourself. We start working with incoming freshmen to really focus on career exploration, activity building, academic planning, summer planning. And so we want to be intentional with that. And again, test prep. We work with everyone to create a balanced college list of 6 to 8 schools, but our services are unlimited, which is one thing that's unique about us. Our scholars can apply to as many colleges, but we recommend a balanced core sacred list of 6 to 8 schools, and we will provide unlimited essay support. We will not limit the number of essays that we'll support. So our college list is balanced. We start essay prep in the spring of the junior year with unlimited test prep. And we have the goal of getting all of our college admission applications submitted by September the 1st. That's early, but we want our scholars to go into their senior year with their college admission application submitted for 2 reasons. A lot of colleges will read applications as they come in. This is called rolling admissions. Texas A&M is famous for it. And so the longer you wait to apply, the less seats are available. But the other reason why we like to have everything done by 9/1 is because we want to pivot and we want to help you apply for scholarship and honors. And these are additional essays, additional letters of recommendation, and possible interviews. And you need time to work on that as well. So again, if you are interested in being on our winning team, you can definitely answer the poll that is launched. Are you interested in a discovery call? Our enrollment coordinator will circle back with you and schedule that. Now, we have a lot of really awesome free events coming up. If you go to our website and you click on the free events tab, you can scroll down and you can see the next webinar we have coming up is going to be on Tuesday, and it's on College Planning 101. This is where we show you how to create a balanced college list. This is where we go into testing strategies. This is where we talk more about those essays as well. We also have another new webinar called STEM Strategies, and we'll go over activity building and trends in admissions as it relates to STEM majors specifically. Another great presentation, brand new, is applying to Texas A&M. Maybe some of you are dreaming of Aggie Land and you have questions about the May School of Business or Engineering. You definitely want to make sure you attend that one. So definitely go on our website and take a look at our presentation and our schedule, and you'll be able to see all of the really great topics that we do have coming up. We would love to have you attend one of our free presentations as well. Jen, is there anything you wanted to add before I wrap it up?
Yeah, I'm just excited about all the questions. There's lots of, lots of people thinking about college early, and that's just a great place to be. So no matter what, I think no matter what grade you're in right now, it's time to start, right? It's time to start that process, get your feet moving, and good luck to everyone, and hook 'em, of course.
Hook 'em horns. Aaron is asking, when do the new essay prompt short answer questions get posted? Okay. The Common App will release those prompts typically in around March. Some colleges will start confirming the essay prompts around June, some of them July, but the applications go live in August, except for schools like MIT and the University of California system. There's a couple of others. Most folks will have those prompts confirmed by July and August, so no reason to wait. And hopefully everybody enjoyed tonight's presentation. Thank you again, and if you're interested in being on our winning team, definitely schedule your discovery call today, and hook 'em horns. Bye-bye.